Tonight on Sports Nightly, it's the Husker football position breakdowns.
Back to throw is Vedro, floats a pass downfield. Kade Warner makes it over the shoulder catch out near the midfield stripe. Kade Warner with a terrific grab.
Tonight,
Adrian gets the snap, holds it, looks, sets, throws, pass caught, Wan'Dale, first down, gets to the 20, 15, shoots the defender, 10, 5, touchdown, Nebraska. Wan'Dale Robinson's first touchdown as a Cornhusker.
wide receivers coach Matt Lubick.
And here to talk about the Husker wide receivers, Husker offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach Matt Lubick. Let's just start with you. You take a new position, and then the world gets turned upside down. How bizarre has the last 6-7 months been for you?
Yeah, well, it's been crazy. It just, as I'm sure it has been for everybody else. The transition was going great. Taking the job, knowing Scott, and then getting to know the staff who welcomed me with open arms, and I felt really good about spring ball. We got 3 good practices in, some walkthroughs, and I loved where we were going. And then all of a sudden this hit, and we had a complete shutdown, and shut down the university for a significant amount of time. But the one thing that was good football wise is that in a positive, it gave you time to look and study and regroup and gather your thoughts, because when I first got here it was kind of just a whirlwind, just trying to get my feet on the ground, and so I feel a lot better, where we're going as an offense, studying other teams as well, and also recruiting. It gave us a lot of time to really hone in and talk to recruits, because we did have some definite free time.
Coach, you have inherited a position that lacks much experience. How big a challenge is this going to be for you? I'm excited about it, to be honest with you. The kids I've been working with, we spent a ton of time on Zoom, have been awesome. The older guys have been kind of helping out the younger guys. I'm really excited about their attitude, and I think we have talent. I saw these guys in practice for 3 days, and so I was just getting a feel to get to know them, but I love what I saw. I also know that we have some good players coming in that are going to add to the room and are going to provide some competition and give us some depth. The thing about experience is it is what it is. You control what you can control, and there's nothing better than having live reps. And we'll get that as we go. You mentioned the word exciting. That certainly is a word Husker fans would equate with Wan'Dale Robinson. He had a tremendous freshman season. What did you see as you reviewed video of Wan'Dale's freshman year, and what has he been like for you to be around the last 6-7 months?
Sure. Well, as a freshman, what amazed me is for him to come in and play 2 positions. That's very rare. It's hard enough to play one position, but to play tailback and also receiver is pretty much unheard of. The one thing we do in our system is we cross-train guys. So especially a guy like him is, even though you're sitting, I'm in the receiver room, you're still learning things about tailback, and we can move guys around. But his football intelligence blows me away, just talking to him and how easy he picks things up, and just how natural things are to him, too. Just how, he's one of those guys that he can learn off video, and you tell him one thing, and he can go out there and do it with not a lot of reps. And then since I've been here, his leadership ability, he's just a freshman, but we're not treating him like a freshman. We're treating him like an experienced guy coming back to be a leader by example. But he's taken that a step further and really reached out to the younger guys and kind of driven our group and making them better by the way he works and being vocal about it. And he's embraced that, and that's going to be huge for a whole offense.
I want to ask you next about Kade Warner, who we've seen sporadically the last couple of years. He battled injuries last fall, and I think that was really hurtful to Nebraska's offense, not having Kade out there. What have you learned about Kade in your short time at Nebraska?
He's amazing, and he's very similar to Wan'Dale. I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't think I've been around a more mature person than Kade Warner. When I say by that, he's like talking to your coach. I think he's more mature than me. Just talking to him and just how he has such a good feel about the group, and he's wise beyond his years. And so he's a lot like Wan'Dale, where I asked him for feedback. How did you guys do this last year? And he helps me coach guys. Not only is he a good football player, but the one thing about this off season is there's limited things that coaches can do based on NCAA rules as far as working with the players. So we really got to rely on our leaders
to really work with the players. And the whole thing for me is to get them to know our vision and what we expect, and then they got to carry it out. And he's done that better than anyone I've been around. It's amazing. And Wan'Dale's in that same boat. You know, Kade's been around the system a little longer than Wan'Dale, but I know the whole team looks up to him. I look up to him. And, I know last year he showed a lot of toughness playing through a bad ankle, and I think people didn't know really how bad it was. It was pretty darn bad, and he showed a lot of toughness playing through it, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do on the field for us. He's already done a ton of things off the field for us that hopefully will show this season, but, he's special.
I want to get your thoughts next on Chris Hickman. A year ago at this time, he was in the tight end room with Coach Becton. Then the lack of bodies, he transitioned out to wide receiver. Now you guys have him listed as a wide receiver. Your thoughts about Chris making that transition to the wide receiver room?
Yeah, well, we love his toughness. You know, I saw him on cut-ups, and he didn't get a ton of reps, but when he did, he took advantage of them and showed a lot of toughness, a lot of physicality. You know, he's a great he's a big body guy that has great range, good athlete, great frame. And again, it's an easy move from him from tight end to receiver because we kind of cross-train those guys. I mean, so the R is what he plays, and it's also what Wan'Dale plays, but there's sometimes where, you know, we can ask him to do things that a tight end does that he already knows, but also split it out and play wide out. And he was learning that even when he was with Coach Becton. And so it's made the transition easier for him. He's just doing things a little bit more flexed out, but he's still capable of being attached and doing all the things we ask of a tight end. And that's what, we love having that in our offense. Just it makes us more versatile for like defender. People try to defend him. They don't know if he's going to, if we're running his way or if he's going to split out, and how are you going to match up with that guy?
Again, we're visiting with Husker wide receiver coach, offensive coordinator Matt Lubick here on Sports Night as we break down the wide receiver room. A couple of young guys who've not really gotten on the field much yet in their young Husker career are Demarion Houston and Jamie Nance. What did you observe of them in your short time with them in the spring?
Yeah, they both. Well, first of all, they're both eager to learn. They both want to get on the field, which is the first thing. I mean, as a coach, you do your best to motivate guys, but if they're not motivated to get on the field and want to work hard, and it's an uphill battle. So they've solved that one. They need reps. They both have tremendous speed, which we need on the field. I think they're getting more comfortable, more confident, and that comes with reps. And they did some really good things each day in those three practices we have. It's like, hey, this guy can really do something, or this guy can do something. I know they're putting a ton of time in the summer like everyone else is, and putting themselves in position so they can help us this fall. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do once fall camp gets rolling around.
Coach, speaking of speed, when I talk to some of the players, one of the first names that comes up is Alante Brown, who I know you had a chance to see a little bit in the spring. He true freshman, but got here for the second semester. You have to be excited about this guy from Chicago.
I am, and I'm treating him like a returning guy just because he was here for those spring practices. He's similar to Wan'Dale in that he's a very fast learner. He was a high school quarterback, but I've been amazed just how natural he picks up some of the things from a skill standpoint at wideout, and he moves like a wideout. You can make an argument he might be our fastest guy. I've never put any of those guys on a clock, but he can run. And he broke away a few times in spring. You're like, wow, this guy's a playmaker. And so, he impressed everyone in that short amount of time. And he's another guy that has done a great job, in the off season this summer of trying to learn the offense and putting himself in a position where he can make a significant contribution for us.
Before you arrived, Coach, the staff knew that they needed to get some numbers up in that room, and so the recruiting class was heavy for wide receivers and Xavier Betts and Omar Manning and Marcus Fleming and Will Nixon. You got to be excited to get out on that practice field and see what these guys can do for you.
Yeah, they're all great. They're all great kids, first off, and second, you look at their high school tape and you can tell how talented they are, and then I'm excited to work with them. Again, at the end of the day, we're so limited on what we can do. They're here on campus, and our older kids, who I could not be more proud of kind of taking them under their wing and showing them the ropes and starting to teach them the offense. it's hard to really get a good evaluation until you actually see those guys on the field moving around and doing things. But like you said, we could not be more excited about having that many playmakers in one class have an opportunity to help us.
Omar played some junior college football, so he's a few years out of high school. What's been your experience in the past with junior college players? Does it take a bit of transition to make that jump to D1 football? What's it been like in your past?
It's really hit and miss. You know, I've been fortunate. I've been around guys like Chad Johnson, TJ Huzmanzada, you know, and those guys, you know, were both Pro Bowl guys, and they came in. They're still a learning curve. It's you can't assume they just know your offense. You know, sometimes they're a little bit more mature and they know what college ball is like and work, and they played at a little higher level. But at the end of the day, they're still, you know, a clean slate like a freshman, and that you got to teach them their offense. So sometimes just physically they're a little more developed, but it's really hit and miss. It's tough to say. You know, and you see guys like Wan'Dale, who, you know, he's a guy fresh out of high school and comes in and, you know, one of the better freshmen in the country. So whether it's a JC guy or whether it's a high school guy, it's really an individual case on how fast they can learn it and confidence. And then, you know, getting those guys confidence is getting them reps and giving them some success, because that's the other thing. It's not always the most talented guy that plays the fastest. I tell these guys that all the time. It's the guy that can learn it, you know, and have confidence and go out there. And you have to do a little extra on your own, really, to catch up and get up to speed with everybody else.
Coach, I always like to kind of finish these up by mentioning the walk-ons. It's been such a big part of the history of Nebraska football, and I know Kade is currently a walk-on in the program for you. But just the time you've been around this group and the couple practices you had in the spring, or just what you're hearing from the weight room, any walk-ons that we need to keep an eye out for here in the 2020 season?
Well, first off, we got a ton of them, you know, and it's awesome. It's amazing because, you know, the way we practice, we're such a high rep practice where if you don't have depth, it can really it'll run you down, and you'll lose guys because of it, especially the receiver position, because they run so much that when guys start going down, it puts that much stress on another guy, and next thing you know, guys are pulling muscles left and right, and that's been something we've always been cautious of and try to battle with the system that we run, up tempo and high reps. You know, I know we got a lot of guys here right now. Kade's a great example. He's not just a leader of the walk-ons; he's a leader of one of our leaders of our football team. But you know, here's the best thing I'd say. I don't know who's a walk-on. I kind of do now, but when I first got here, right, you didn't know. I mean, and the walk-ons that were out there, and I know we've had some new ones that we're really excited about. I mean, that you can't tell, you know, because when I say tell, sometimes you consider there's a huge discrepancy between the athletes of a guy in scholarship and a walk-on. I was out there in off-season workouts just trying to learn names, and I'm like, who's this guy? The coach, that guy's not even on scholarship. I go, are you kidding me? And we didn't have guys like that anywhere else I've been. So, you know, it's a really credit. I know it's a tradition thing here, but to I know Kenny Wilhite, Coach Frost has emphasized it. But these walk-ons are going to play for us this year for sure. I mean, we've got 11 of them, you know, and without going down the list, every one of these guys is a good football player and can help us, and that's the thing. I mean, you can put a guy out there and he can do a rep, and there's not a huge drop-off, you know. And I do think there will be some guys that'll surprise some guys that eventually will be on scholarship.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. It's going to be fascinating to watch your group and as they progress through the fall camp and hopefully into some games here in this fall. And I know you can't wait to get out there with them. Keep them healthy, and let's hope for some football here in a few months.
I'm with you. I appreciate it.